Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy, NerdModeOn, and I'm going to be doing the next episode of Battlefield News, a video series where I'll be talking about changes and or events within a particular Battlefield title. So without further ado, let's get started. A few days ago, DICE made the announcement of the community test environment returning for Battlefield 1. Previously, the community test environment was utilized for Battlefield 4, considering that the initial launch of Battlefield 4 was plagued with multiple different bugs and crashing issues. To many players, the community test environment is regarded as one of the saving graces for Battlefield, considering that this was a very important testing program in order to fix the base version of Battlefield 4, as well as make improvements that the player base had hoped to see when it came down to the initial launch of Battlefield 4. Now, while Battlefield 1 did officially release in a very stable version, of course there is always room for improvement, and Battlefield 1 has recently come under scrutiny considering that it is missing some of the key mechanics that the Battlefield series has been building on for the last 10 years. So this is where the community test environment comes into play, because this is going to grant the development team the ability to make improvements to Battlefield 1 and resolve some of these criticisms that some players have felt when it comes down to the game that they are currently investing a lot of their time into. Now, in relation to the community test environment, initially this program will only be available for PC players. However, DICE will be expanding the program to the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 at a later date. Furthermore, Battlefield 1 Premium Pass will be required for players to access the community test environment. Now, it is worth noting that the community test environment as of the moment is being implemented in a very similar format to how it initially was back in Battlefield 4. Some players may feel like the denial of access into the community test environment via a paywall, also known as the Premium Pass in this particular case, is kind of a scummy move on the DICE development team. However, the community test environment should never be viewed as the stable version of Battlefield 1, considering that the community test environment receives multiple different updates and fixes at any given moment that may or may not find their way into the stable version of Battlefield 1. Now, with that all being said, I kind of want to transfer into some of the highlighted information that is currently going to be going on in the community test environment in terms of the official patch notes that have been released. Now, with that being said, I'm only going to be talking about the highlighted information in this particular video. Of course, if you are interested in reading everything for yourself and or following along, I will leave a link in the description to the official article. DICE has increased the maximum class rank to rank 50 from rank 10. Unfortunately, we haven't seen any information in correlation to seeing if there's going to be additional content sprinkled in between these levels. However, at level 50, you will receive a unique award for your dedication to achieving rank 50 for a particular class. Now, one of the major criticisms of Battlefield 1 is that there is a very lackluster progression system that has been implemented into Battlefield 1 in comparison to its predecessors such as Battlefield 4. Now, over the last couple of months, DICE has been collecting some information about what players would like to see in terms of introducing a progression system into Battlefield 1. Now, as a result of the community being very vocal in this particular aspect, the introduction of 20 different ribbons will be added to Battlefield 1. The ribbons will award players with 500 XP. These can also be collected multiple times, so if you're somebody that really likes to use a particular class, then of course you're probably going to notice that you're going to be accumulating quite a bit of the ribbons of that individual class. Now, alongside this, 8 elite codices will be available for primary weapons in the game. Players are required to obtain 500 additional kills per weapon to obtain these elite codices. Players will also be awarded with 25,000 XP for accomplishing the requirements. Now, moving right along, let's quickly talk about a feature that is going to be added to the server page. DICE has added the feature to vote for the next map after the match has concluded. 2 options will be randomly displayed on the victory screen, and whichever map gets the most votes will be selected. However, it is worth noting that no additional waiting time has since been added, so of course it's actually going to be the same regardless of if this feature was enabled and or disabled. Vehicle selection is now disabled when the pre-round countdown is running in order to provide a more fair selection process for vehicles. The reason for this alteration is to place everybody on an even playing field, considering that if you had a very fast hard drive and or a solid state drive on the PC platform, you were able to select vehicles way before a lot of the community was able to join the game. This alteration to Battlefield 1 really shouldn't come as a surprise considering that DICE has been pretty hand over fist when it comes down to giving players unfair advantages, so of course this was definitely something that I think many of us with solid state drives were expecting in the near future. DICE has fixed illogical behavior when using K-bullets with the Martini Henry. Now alongside that, the Martini Henry has also seen an increase in the damage between 30 and 80 meters, however it's only slightly, so I'm not sure if this is necessarily going to fix some of the criticisms that this weapon has been receiving since the previous patch. DICE has also improved the Selbstlader 1906 aimed accuracy, reduced the recoil of the weapon, and they've also decreased the spread. Now for any of you that are not familiar, the Selbstlader 1906 is actually the level 10 weapon for the medic. Now of course this weapon has been very underpowered in terms of its damage and its ability to perform on the battlefield in comparison to some other weapons. Unfortunately, I feel like these alterations to this weapon are just not enough, and I don't feel like many players are still going to give the weapon a chance considering that the limited clip size of only 5 rounds really hampers the ability to kill multiple players with one clip. I do feel like DICE should really be taking a look at the damage model for this particular weapon, considering that there is definitely a lot of improvements that can occur during this specific spot if they want to stay true to the Selbstlader 1906 in terms of its clip capacity. As of the moment, we'll just have to wait and see until the community test environment is in full swings, but I don't feel like this is going to be enough to make many players give this weapon a try or reintroduce them to the weapon if they previously tried it. One of the redeeming benefits, however, is that there has been a reduction in the damage of the impact grenade from 80 damage down to 72. I don't know if this is going to nearly be enough to make the weapon not as ridiculous as it's been in some of the previous editions of the Battlefield series. However, any positive reduction in making grenade spam kind of disappear from the Battlefield franchise is redeemed as a high honor in my eyes, so of course we'll just have to wait and see if the impact grenades are going to be as prominent as they have been since the release of this particular game. Now alongside that, DICE has also increased the number 3 revolver's rate of fire in aiming down sight from 119 to 138. This should give some benefits to players that would like to aim down sight with the weapon, considering that you will get a little bit more rounds per minute in terms of trying to kill an individual player if you find yourself in a moment where a revolver is necessary. Sadly, DICE has still not made any alteration to headshots for the revolvers, so of course you're still not able to get a one-shot kill at close range with a revolver, but hopefully DICE will continue to take community feedback and make the proper adjustments in the near future. They have also fixed errors where elite kits had unintentionally high health regeneration delays and carried too many grenades. Ultimately, this should reduce the amount of grenades that the elite kits have, considering that some of them were actually granted with quite a bit of grenades, and those could be utilized to be spammed in high succession. Now, a very redeeming change that I was not expecting to see in this particular patch notes is that they have improved cavalry victim experience. All this really means is that you should no longer get killed by cavalry using the saber from multiple meters away. This has since been an issue that's been in the game since the beta version of Battlefield 1, so of course it's nice to see that they're still making improvements to the cavalry. Now moving right along, let's talk a little bit about the suppression effect, considering that Battlefield 1 versus Battlefield 4 definitely have very different suppression effects in terms of the penalties that are awarded to players. Now, as a result, they have increased the threshold for suppression effect to prevent suppression from occurring too early. Previously, if a few random bullets just happened to be in your general direction, you would go to full suppression, which would significantly reduce your accuracy at medium to long range. Now, depending specifically on which type of weapon you're utilizing, these negative attributes can be very severe in terms of your accuracy for a weapon that's designed for those types of combat situations. Now with that all being said, the suppression effect in Battlefield 1 will probably be a hefty battle back and forth, considering that some players really like the suppression effect and they like the current implementation of the system. But of course, on the opposite side of the coin, you also have players that really hate it, considering that it penalizes weapons that should be well suited for medium to long range. Now last but certainly not least, we have the discussion of gas, considering that I'm sure many of you are very excited to hear that I'm going to be gracing you with information that's going to revolutionize your experience for Battlefield 1. Unfortunately, I have to have the unfortunate ability to inform you that gas is not being adjusted in the way that I'm sure many of you are hoping. As of the moment, they have reduced gas duration from 22 seconds to 15 seconds. So of course, in this particular aspect, we're going to notice that gas is not going to be sitting around nearly as long. So of course, it won't be lingering in the most random positions of all time. However, the amount of gas grenades that are going to be spammable is still at an all-time high. So of course, unfortunately, I don't feel like this is going to be enough to resolve the issue. But anyway, guys, that's really all the information I have for you. Hopefully you found something in the video insightful and or entertaining. But of course, if you guys are interested in reading all of the information for yourself, I will leave the article linked in the description for your viewing pleasure. But until the next episode, guys, this has been Mo. Now I'm going to be signing out, guys. Peace.